Right now, shots fired at Shake the Lake. Madison's annual fireworks display ends in panic. What we know this morning.
They will always be in my heart as this beautiful memory.
Plus, it's a new era for those of the Catholic faith in Madison. The interview with the local diocese new bishop you'll only see on News 3 Now.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now this morning.
Good morning. It's 6:30 in the morning on June 30th. I'm Keely Arthur. We start with breaking news overnight. Police say shots were fired at the popular festival Shake the Lake. It happened inside the Monona Terrace Tunnel on John Nolan Drive right as the fireworks were ending. Madison police say one person was shot, but their injuries are non-life-threatening. They say the people involved knew each other and this was not random. A Madison police officer also sustained a leg injury while responding to the call. Our crew on the scene last night says once shots were heard, people in the crowd of thousands took off running. Police are now asking you for more information about this incident, including any video you may have taken on your phone last night. You can contact Crime Stoppers at the number right there on your screen. Switching to weather now, Chris Reese joining us. And Chris, it's going to be another hot one today.
That's right, Keely. Another steamy day indeed. I do want to go ahead and talk about the temperatures that we saw yesterday, just because it was the first time we hit 90 in more than 350 days. 90 in Madison, Janesville, the Dells, Camp Douglas. A lot of folks hit the 90 mark or even exceeded that. Mineral Point making it to 95, and it's going to be another hot day already. Heat advisories do come as close as Platteville, just south of the state line. All of Iowa under heat advisories. We have excessive heat warnings as you work your way up towards the Twin Cities. The other thing that we're going to pay attention to this morning, Keely, is the potential for severe weather. A slight risk of severe weather in our area, primarily for the potential of damaging winds coming our way. Already we're tracking some showers and thunderstorms in the northwestern corner of the state. We've been watching those during the overnight hours. They've accelerated even, and those are going to be diving towards the south and east. So as we get later on this morning into early afternoon, look for another windy complex of storms to come through. Of course, we're going to be tracking that. In the meantime, 71 degrees already. Winds coming out of the south at 3 miles per hour. 72 in Janesville. A lot of us waking up in the 70s. It will be another toasty day, but we'll have the chance for showers and thunderstorms to at least bring us some relief at times. But outside of that, it's going to stay hot and very humid today. Keely.
Looks like we're kind of getting all the hallmarks of a Wisconsin summer rolled into one day.
Right into one weekend. That's right. But we'll track it all.
All right. Thank you, Chris. Madison police are asking for your help in identifying 2 men wanted for robbing a customer at a near East Side gas station overnight. It happened at a mobile gas station on East Washington Avenue just after 3 o'clock this morning. Officers say 2 men approached a person who was pumping gas there and asked for some change. When the person agreed, the men grabbed an undisclosed amount of money from their wallet and sprayed the person with what police believe is pepper spray. Now, the men got away in a 1992 green Buick Century. Anyone with information should call Madison police. More local news now. It's the first round of Sunday masses for Madison's new bishop.
Today will always be in my heart as this beautiful memory. And you know, when there's challenges and difficulties, not that there'll be many here, but when there's challenges and difficulties, you pull out moments like this from your heart, right? Because these are signposts of grace that remind us of what the point of all of this is.
Bishop Donald Hying officially became the 5th bishop in the Diocese of Madison history, delivering his first Mass this week at St. Maria Goretti Church on Madison's west side. The Marquette alum grew up in New Berlin, but has plenty of family who still live in our area. He succeeds the late Bishop Morlino, who passed away late last year. Earlier this week, our Charlotte Deleste sat down with Hying. And it's a story you'll only see on News 3 Now.
How does it feel for you?
So I just see this as both a new chapter in God calling me to serve him. But it's kind of wonderful to come back to Wisconsin, I have to say. My father grew up in this diocese on farms, in Grant and Iowa counties. I have a lot of cousins here. I have a brother that lives in Jefferson County. It took me 10 minutes on the phone to convince him that I was his new bishop, because he kept saying, "You're kidding. You're making this up. This is a joke." So it's great to be back in Wisconsin.
Can you talk about your calling?
Yeah, I always point to four things. The deep spirituality of my parents, the death of one of my brothers when he was 10 and I was 6. He died of liver cancer. Third was one of my brothers went to St. Francis Seminary in Milwaukee when I was a little kid. He ended up leaving and getting married, but I would go visit him, and the place just made a huge impression on me. So I think his vocation was to lure me there, and then he went on to his vocation. And the fourth was the election of St. John Paul II. So I was 15 when he became Pope, and from the very first moment of his pontificate, I felt that every single thing he said was somehow directed to my heart. Like it was personal, and really felt him calling me to greatness, within the church, within the priesthood. So I'd say those four things.
And when you found out that you would become the Bishop of Madison, what went through your mind?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think surprise, some sense joy, gratitude. I thought of all my cousins who had been praying for such a thing to happen, and all of that. Shock, really, I think, yeah.
There are going to be some people, when you take on a new job replacing somebody, who are going to say, well, he's no Bishop Morlino. What do you say to people who might be thinking that?
I would absolutely agree with them, because we're each fully ourselves. Yeah, so Bishop Morlino had tremendous gifts. I love the Lord and the church very much, and I hope to build on his legacy. But the beauty and the challenge of each of us is that we're each ourselves. So I'm not going to pretend to be him or anyone else, but we each bring our own gifts.
What's the one thing you want people to know about you?
It's a great question. I think that I'm here to love them and serve them, and that they should never be afraid to approach me or ask me questions or ask me to serve them or to do them favors or to come over or anything. So I'm here to be a servant. So I'm here not to be served, but to serve.
You're going to be awfully busy.
Yeah, I always have been. And people have always told me to slow down, but time is urgent, right? So I always want to live each moment fully, and do what the Lord's asking me to do. I'd love to sit down with every person in our diocese and just, have a cup of coffee with them and talk to them. I mean, I know that's not possible, but I would love to do that, just as we are now.
What had you heard about this diocese?
I'm very familiar with it because I know a lot of the priests, and I know many people. There's a vibrancy here, and I think what I love about it is that you have the university life, you have the political life of the capital, but you get out of Madison and Janesville area, and it's 100 little towns and farms, and that's really part of my heritage. So I love the contrast of all that. It's like a little bit of everything all put together into one place.
That was our Charlotte Deleste reporting for us. The bishop says he hopes to spend the next 20 years in the Madison Diocese. He's 55 years old and isn't required to retire until 75. New this morning, President Donald Trump making history today as the first U.S. president to physically step foot into North Korea. He met with North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un. President Moon of South Korea also present for the meeting, despite being told by North Korea last week that he no longer was needed as an intermediary between the two parties. Here's what the president said at the meeting, which ended a few hours ago.
When I put out the social media notification, if he didn't show up, the press was going to make me look very bad. So you made us both look good, and I appreciate it. But we've developed a great relationship. I really think that if you go back 2.5 years and you look at what was going on prior to my becoming president, it was a very, very bad situation, a very dangerous situation for South Korea, for North Korea, for the world. And I think the relationship that we've developed has meant so much to so many people.
To round out his trip overseas, President Trump spoke to U.S. troops at the American Air Base in Asan before returning home to the U.S., where he will land later today. CBS will air a special report on this historic meeting at 7 o'clock this morning, which we will carry right here on News 3 Now. Looking ahead, could Beloit be the home for a new casino? Well, we'll know the answer to that question maybe as soon as tomorrow. That's when the Federal Bureau of Indian Affairs can issue a decision on the project. This news comes as the state of Illinois announced plans for a new casino in Rockford. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker signed a package of bills Friday expanding gaming in the state and authorizing licenses for new casinos in 6 cities, including Rockford. That is less than 20 miles from Beloit, where a casino proposal has been in the works for years.
Anytime that they put something else up there that's doing some of the same things that we are, it probably will have at least a slight effect.
If the Federal Bureau of Indian Affairs does issue a decision tomorrow, Governor Tony Evers would have to sign off on the deal. As for the Rockford project, the mayor says the application has to be filed with the Illinois Gaming Board by October 25th. Music festival, thousands of people are making their way to Summerfest in Milwaukee over the next week and a half. From now until July 7th, more than 800 acts will take over the festival's several stages. Headlining the festival tonight at the American Family Insurance Amphitheater is the Zac Brown Band. Organizers are hoping for a big rebound from last year when they saw the lowest attendance in years. It's 6:41. Here's a live look outside. Chris will have your full First Alert forecast next.
It is a double-edged summer hazard that we are watching this morning. Not only is it the heat that we're anticipating today, but also a line of showers and thunderstorms, some of those that could be on the strong to severe sides. We're tracking that this morning. A slight risk of severe weather, level 2 out of 5 for the entire viewing area this afternoon. We zoom out, that goes all the way back up towards the Twin Cities. Notice kind of the arching nature of that slight risk and really just the severe risk zone in general. What this is picking up on is a possibility of a complex of showers and thunderstorms to develop, say, up around the Twin Cities and then dive towards the southeast. When you have those diving complexes of showers and thunderstorms, they have a tendency to bow out and really bring in the damaging wind potential. That's what we saw the other day. And folks, I think we're going to do that again today. We're tracking some of these right now just towards the north and east of the Twin Cities. You're talking the north woods of Wisconsin. Here's what's gone on as we've gone through probably about the past 6 hours or so. Watch how that dove out of Canada, starting to increase. It's now working its way towards the south and east. This box is a severe thunderstorm watch just to our north and west. So look for this line of showers and thunderstorms to move southward throughout the morning, eventually reaching us throughout the late morning and the early afternoon. Now, the other hazard that we're paying attention to is, of course, the heat. Let's start with yesterday's heat. We made it to 90 degrees for the first time this 2019. 90 in Janesville, Mineral Point, out of control, 95 degrees. That was not the heat index, the actual air temperature that those folks did receive yesterday. And folks, this warm, hot, hazy, and humid air mass is still going to be influencing the western 2/3 of the country until we get you, say, towards the end of next week. So get used to the heat that is out there. Heat advisories for Grant County, just to our south, and then all of the state of Iowa under a heat advisory. The Twin Cities under excessive heat warnings in the purple. But the core of that heat is right here over the upper Midwest. And watch how some of these temperatures will respond going into this afternoon before that complex of showers and thunderstorms moves on through and cools things off a little bit. So by 10 o'clock, it's going to be fairly steamy out there. But watch what happens at noon. That's when that complex of showers and thunderstorms begins to push on through. An earlier arrival will mean a lessened chance for severe weather. So, of course, that's something to pay attention to. Eventually, though, we will clear out behind that, but still staying fairly mild by the time we get you towards the afternoon and evening, with temperatures staying in the 70s. So an alert day for the storms. We keep the alert days early next week for the heat and humidity, but we also keep those shower and thunderstorm chances around as well due to the heat and humidity. But by next Tuesday, 78 degrees.
Wow. I mean, it's crazy to see almost every day in the 80s.
Seriously, this is a stretch of true summer weather. Those rain chances every day are not washout rain chances.
Okay.
It's just the summertime. I like to call them popcorn thunderstorm chances, but they pop up in the afternoon with the heat and humidity.
Perfect way to put it. All right. Thank you, Chris. Well, a summer staple is back. And if you missed the music this week, you still have plenty of time to catch it. Concerts on the Square put on by the Wisconsin Chamber Orchestra runs every Wednesday now through July 31st. The orchestra sets up on the King Street corner of the Capitol, but you can sit on your blanket and eat your cheese and crackers anywhere on the lawn surrounding the Capitol. The shows are free and open to the public. They start at 7 on Wednesday. And here's another chance to get outdoors with the whole family this summer. There's a new ropes course in Stoughton, and UW-Madison helped make it happen. It's a 40-foot high catwalk, a rock climbing wall, and a zip line. The course was built by the Physical Sciences Lab and other departments on campus. There's a free team building workshop available for any UW-Madison students, along with paid programming for any non-students who want to check it out. It's 6:48. Doctors are calling it the cruelest disease you've never heard of. How one local family is coping and raising awareness about the disease in a story you'll only see on News 3 Now. We'll be right back. Welcome back. It's one of the most devastating diseases you've probably never heard of, frontotemporal degeneration, or FTD. It attacks the part of the brain that affects speech and personality, and it's frequently misdiagnosed as depression. The majority of cases happen in patients between 45 and 64 years old. To raise awareness, an Iowa County family is sharing their story only with our Susan Simon.
In 2010, he actually came to me and said, something's not right. I don't feel right, something's not right.
What did he mean by that?
He could not verbalize it. He just said something is not right.
Rita and Chuck Trevorrow live in the small community of Livingston and have two grown children, daughter Alyssa and son Kyle. How long have you been married, Chuck? Do you remember how long you've been married? It's been a long time.
20 years.
It'll be 29 in August.
29.
At 56, Rita says Chuck started losing interest in work and family activities and displayed behavior that was out of character for him.
With the FTD, you often see, and we saw a lack of empathy, OCD behaviors that got kind of extreme at times, having to constantly check the mail. Like there was one point where every 3-4 minutes, check to see if the mail was there.
Just the lack of motivation to go out and do things, more of just wanted to be home and wanted to be by himself, and kind of just went back in the bedroom. And I mean, there's some days where he would just lay in bed for hours upon hours.
Rita took Chuck to the doctor, who diagnosed him with depression.
She was sure that this was the worst case she'd ever seen, and she wanted to put him in the hospital, have electric shock treatments done. We switched doctors again and started with another doctor. And he took a couple years adjusting meds and just kept adding meds on, just more meds, more meds, more meds. So we're about 5 years into it at this point. And I just kept saying, there's just something that's not quite right.
Eventually, Chuck and Rita went to a neuropsychologist and waited 11 months for an appointment for cognitive testing.
And they did like 5.5 hours of cognitive testing. It's a full day's worth of testing. That's basically when they told us that he had the frontotemporal degeneration, or frontotemporal dementia.
Did you think, well, that's not possible, he's in his 50s?
I did, because they kept doing the Alzheimer's screener. Well, he always scored 0. He always came out as nothing for Alzheimer's. Well, that's the only kind of dementia that anybody really knows about right now. Even in the medical profession, they're not that familiar with FTD.
Why don't we know more about this?
Yeah, I think it's because, first of all, we're not doing as much research on frontotemporal disease as Alzheimer's. There's not as many people.
Dr. Robert Perbelski is a geriatric physician who works with FTD patients at UW Health.
We're in the dark ages of these neurodegenerative diseases. I mean, we've been studying Alzheimer's disease for over 100 years, and we still don't know what these proteins exactly do.
Dr. Perbelski says the Trevorrow story is a common one.
Usually it's not the patient saying something feels off, it's the family saying something feels off. They're in a restaurant and mom says something she never would have said before about the waitress, things like that. And unfortunately, the patients are usually the last to, if ever, have a sense that there's anything wrong.
Unlike Alzheimer's, where memory loss is the first troubling sign, people with FTD often have no awareness that anything is wrong. Today, there is no treatment and no cure.
Their loved one is going away. They're gone. They're not the same person they married or knew when they were in high school. So it's devastating any way you cut it.
How are you doing?
I'm doing okay.
You seem incredibly strong.
I have 2 great kids that help a lot.
Yeah. The Trevorrows are taking things one day at a time and say Chuck's diagnosis has made their family stronger.
Now we cherish those little moments that before maybe you wouldn't think anything of, but now when you have those good days or those good little moments, you really appreciate that.
What do you see coming down the road?
That's hard because every person with dementia is different. It's really hard to plan for down the road. It's really hard to know where this journey is going to take us and when.
Our Susan Simon reporting for us. There is more information available online about FTD. We have 2 links to organizations on our website, channel3000.com. There's a full hour of news ahead on News 3 this morning. Next, we're running through the day's top stories. But first, here's a preview of what's to come on an all-new For the Record.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Neil Heinen. Today on For the Record, we will explore the work of a new startup that is combining innovation and social good. It is a unique investment model for funding communities, and it's called the Movement Fund. Its founder is Eric Upchurch, and he is my guest, along with the executive director of Downtown Madison, Inc., Jason Ilstrup. And that's coming up this morning at 10:30 on News 3 Now.
Well, it's a quiet start to your Sunday morning, but we are watching two summertime hazards around here. One's going to be the showers and the thunderstorms. The other one will be the heat potential later on this afternoon and evening. Let's start with the shower and thunderstorm potential. We do have a slight risk. That's level 2 out of 5 for all of the area. And as we zoom things out, notice how that kind of takes on an arching notion. What this is hinting at is the possibility of a complex of showers and thunderstorms developing and then diving south and eastward through the area as we go throughout the day. That complex has already developed. We're tracking that mainly towards the north and west of here. It has weakened somewhat as we've gone through the past couple of hours, but we'll see if that picks up strength again as it continues to push towards the south and east. That box that you see outlines to our north and west is a severe thunderstorm watch area, and we'll watch these storms as they continue to push our direction going through the late morning and then into the early afternoon. Temperature-wise, it's going to be hot. Yesterday was another hot day, and we did make it to 90 degrees for the first time so far this year. Mineral Point making it all the way towards 95. And that hazy, hot, and humid air mass that's truly controlled our weather, folks, that's staying in control as we go through pretty much all of this week. It's going to take till the end of the week before that ridge of heat begins to break down a little bit and focus more on the desert Southwest. So with that, some of those heat advisories have gotten a little bit closer. Platteville, Grant County, you guys all under a heat advisory. You go just south into Illinois, heat advisories do exist as well. All of Iowa under the heat advisories, and then you have excessive heat warnings as you work your way up towards the Twin Cities. But the core of that heat, folks, primarily over parts of the upper Midwest. In Madison, we are simply on the edge of that. But those heat advisories do come close. Watch what happens as we move into the afternoon. This is the potential heat index at a time, but also pay attention to Wisconsin now and how we kind of get a bulldozing of cooler air that works in for a time. That is the line of showers and thunderstorms showing up on Future Track. And so let's go ahead and time this all out for you. Those storms, again, in the north right now, I think they'll show up for us sometime between, say, 11 and 1 o'clock. So here's Future Track at 12:30, showing that line of showers and thunderstorms moving through, and then another one pushing south and eastward. The good news is I do believe we will clear out on the other side of that. But once that comes on through, we're certainly going to have to pay attention to the wind damage potential. The hail threat is there, the tornado threat is there, but I do think the greatest threat with this line of showers and thunderstorms will be the wind. So that's what we'll want to pay attention to later on. The heat sticks around for Monday and Tuesday, really all of the week ahead, along with a chance for showers and thunderstorms each and every day. None of those days appear to be washouts right now, but we're going to have to pay attention to the afternoon storm chance and then also watch that cluster of showers and thunderstorms diving in from the north and west. That could be something we see repeat itself this week as well, Keely. Keely, I'll be honest, I have no idea what you said. It didn't come through to the IFB, but we'll talk when I get inside.
All right, sounds good. Thanks so much, Chris. Well, what does your morning look like? Thanks for sharing. This is a photo from Kevin Grunberg, an Argyle morning. Oh, it looks very picturesque. Please share your morning with us. You can take a picture and post it on the Channel 3000 Facebook page or on Twitter using the hashtag MyNews3Morning. We'll share our favorites right here on News 3 This Morning. Meanwhile, the Madison Parks Division is turning to the community to help decide whether or not more parks should be welcoming to dogs. The current policy says that dogs are prohibited from most places with the exception of on-leash and off-leash parks. Of the 270 parks in Madison, 26 are accessible to dogs on leashes, and 8 parks have areas where dogs can run off-leash. The Parks Division says this is a complicated issue that they often get a lot of input on. Assistant Park Superintendent says there is a growing need to update the policy, but they want to make sure the community is happy.
The end goal is that the policy will be a balanced approach that everybody can, that the majority of the community can live with.
If you would like to attend and share your opinion at one of the public forums, you can find the dates, times, and locations on channel3000.com. And for all of the dog lovers out there, check out channel3000.com. We have a story posted about 37 dog-friendly restaurants, bars, and patios to visit this summer. It's 7:17. Before we flip the calendar to July, we're celebrating the end of National Dairy Month with a look ahead at what's next for the state's dairy industry. We have local cheese favorite Roth in studio this morning. We'll talk to them next on News 3 This Morning Now. Stay with us.
We're tracking some showers and thunderstorms in the northwestern part of the state this morning. The question is, when will they reach us and how much instability can build before they move into town? That's going to determine how strong they are. So we've been watching this just towards the north and west. You've actually seen a little bit of weakening in this line. If I were to turn the lightning off, one of the things you'll notice is those darker reds, those true heavy precipitation areas have somewhat faded throughout the past few hour or so, really. But we're still watching that line of storms as that begins to push towards the south and east. We focus in on that. Look for that to make it towards the Madison area, say right around 11 o'clock or so. Now, as the sun continues to come up, the air gets warmer, you get a little bit more instability. It is possible for this line to once again re-strengthen as it pushes our direction. So don't let any guards down when it comes to the damaging wind potential today. Of course, we'll keep you guys up to date as this gets closer. Keely?
All right, thank you so much, Chris. Sorry for that technical difficulty. June is National Dairy Month, and even though today is the last day of the month, the dairy industry remains, of course, a very important part of our state all year round. And I have with me Abby Despins of Roth, the local cheese producer out of Monroe. And good morning, Abby.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
We were just talking, you know, the dairy industry is kind of always in a state of flux, but your job as a cheese producer is to just support them.
Yes.
How do you do that?
So June Dairy Month is historically a month to celebrate the dairy farmers in Wisconsin, and 90% of their milk goes into cheese here in the state.
Very important.
So what better way to do that than to support them by buying their milk and making great cheese here in Wisconsin.
So what kind of cheese do we have on this platter?
So we have a caprese cheese board for the summer. So what we do a lot of $20 cheese boards because cheese can be affordable, it can be easy to make, and you can make a beautiful cheese board for not a lot of money. Yes. So you can buy some, we use our Havarti here. We have Havarti, we have a cheese called Grand Cru, we have a lot of different varieties, so choose your favorite. And then we did a beautiful caprese board with fresh vegetables, which are in season right now, so it makes it even more affordable to make a great cheese board. Just some crusty bread, pesto, you can roast your own tomatoes and make a beautiful summer cheese board. This is great for the 4th of July coming up as well this weekend.
I was gonna say, I think when we think of the 4th of July, we think like cheeseburgers and stuff, but this is a great kind of appetizer to kick things off.
It is. It's great to put this out while you're cooking your burgers on the grill, have this available for people to eat and eat cheese and celebrate dairy this month.
And we were talking about earlier during commercial break, you were saying that you have one of your favorite cheeses is actually a goat's milk cheese.
Yes.
Talk about that. I think we always think about cow's milk when we think of cheeses, but obviously other varieties there.
Yeah, there's many varieties of cheese that you can use on your board. We just created a new goat cheese as well in multiple flavors, so you can really play with different flavors on your board and different cheeses to fit your tastes of your guests as well.
And how long has Roth been? I mean, we know Roth, we've heard about Roth, but how long have you guys been in the area for?
So we have been here for almost 30 years. Wow. We're based down in Monroe, where we make the majority of our cheese, but we also have locations all over the state. And you can come visit us as well. So we have a cheese shop down in Monroe, and you can come and see cheese being made. So if you're interested in learning more about cheese, we're just about an hour away from Madison, so you can come out and visit us and learn more about the cheese that's made here in the state.
Is that a great way to kind of get the younger generation in the know about this industry in our state, is having like kiddos come to visit you guys in Monroe?
Yeah, you can come and visit, and we have a whole viewing hall. You can actually see cheese being made. So it's a great way to educate people about what we do here in the state.
Awesome. I think I'm going to have to come for an assignment report in Monroe.
Please
Thank you so much, Abby Despins with Roth Cheese. Well, there's still a half hour of news ahead on News 3 this morning, Sunday. Next, we're running through the morning's top stories. And we're finding some Soul, a Kia Soul. Now in its 3rd generation, we'll find out what Harvey thinks of quirky vehicles on News 3 Now this morning.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now this morning.
Good morning. It's June 30th. I'm Keely Arthur. We'll get a check on weather with Chris in just a second. But first, here are 3 things to know to get your day started. Breaking news from overnight. Madison's largest fireworks display ended with a report of shots fired inside the Monona Terrace tunnel on John Nolan Drive. Madison police say 1 person was shot, but their injuries are non-life threatening. They say the people involved knew each other and this was not random. A Madison police officer also sustained a leg injury after the initial call. Our crew on the scene last night says once shots were heard, people in the crowd of thousands took off running. Police are now asking you for more information about this incident, including any video you may have taken on your phone last night. Madison police also asking for your help in identifying 2 men wanted for robbing a customer at a near East Side gas station overnight. It happened at the Mobile gas station off of East Washington Avenue just after 3 o'clock this morning. Officers say 2 men approached a person who was pumping gas there and asked for some change. When the person agreed, the men grabbed an undisclosed amount of money from their wallet and sprayed the person with pepper spray. The men who got away in a 1992 green Buick Century have not been caught yet. Madison police are asking for your help in finding them. And a reminder, Sustainable Seafood Week ends today. It's your last chance to get out of the house, snag some great deals, and help support sustainable fishing practices. More than 30 Madison restaurants are featuring dishes on their menus, many at discounted prices. Our friends at Madison Magazine have a list of participating spots on our website, channel3000.com. And Chris Reese in to tell us if it's a good day to take a stroll over to a nice local restaurant.
Hey, I did at least do it earlier on this morning. We're going to stay dry to start the day, but it's going to be another warm day as well. We'll watch a storm chance moving in later on. Let's talk about yesterday's highs for a minute. We made it to 90 degrees here in Madison. Mineral Point upwards towards 95, Boscobel 93, Prairie du Chien 92. A lot of us hit the 90-degree mark yesterday, and that may not be the only time that we do it. Heat advisories in place for a large part of the upper Midwest. Grant County does have heat advisories. All of Iowa under heat advisories. The Twin Cities seeing the excessive heat warnings right now. But what we're also going to focus on is that potential for some showers and thunderstorms diving out of the north and west. The timing on these is really going to influence what happens with our temperatures as we move into the afternoon and evening. A cluster of showers and thunderstorms has already developed this morning. This is it moving into northwestern Wisconsin as we speak. Now, the western edge of this has weakened somewhat, but the southeastern edge of that is holding on to its strength as that continues to push generally towards that I-39 corridor, and that's going to continue to move towards the south and east. So this is what we're paying attention to right now. As we put a timer on this and then begin to extend that south and eastward, it's possible that this could reach the Madison area by about 11 a.m. At that point, the sun comes up, you get a little bit more heat and a little bit more instability. So we'll begin to see if this line of showers and thunderstorms begins to strengthen somewhat. Of course, we'll be watching that all morning long. Keely, we'll keep you guys up to date as well.
Looking forward to it. Thanks, Chris. More local news now. As you heard from Chris, it's set to be another dangerously hot day here in Madison. So it's important for you to keep your family safe in this heat. Firefighters and paramedics say that people should use common sense when they're spending the day outside. This means drinking plenty of water and taking breaks in the shade or air-conditioned areas. Symptoms of heat exhaustion include dizziness, fatigue, and general weakness.
We'll have more output than they have intake, and then that's where people get heat exhaustion and they get heat stroke.
If someone is experiencing any of these symptoms, they should seek medical attention. Since its debut in 2010, the Kia Soul has always stood out. Now entering its 3rd generation, the 2020 Soul has added a dose of refinement while keeping its boxy and dorky image intact. Our Mark Kane is checking it out this morning, heading behind the wheel with Harvey Briggs.
For 2020, Kia has changed the soul of the Soul. The hamsters are gone. Remember those ads? Our little boxy friend has gotten a bit more, shall we say, refined, more mature, but still fun, especially in Inferno Red. It's completely redesigned.
Very futuristic.
Yeah, it
it doesn't feel like anything else on the road. It really has its own personality.
Which is something cars lack these days.
Exactly. We talk about a lot of the crossovers all looking alike. Well, there isn't anything that looks like this now. There used to be a lot of these boxy, I don't know, I'll call them toaster-like, styled vehicles. You had the Scion XB, you had the Honda Element, the Nissan Cube, and all those are gone. So now if you want this shape, this kind of squared off thing, the Kia Soul is the only game in town.
And there are more players in the lineup.
You can get into a Kia Soul for $17,000, and that's a basic 4-cylinder, front-wheel drive, manual transmission, the good old-fashioned way.
Then there's the S, the X line, sort of a off-roady looking thing. Then the EX, all the way up to the GT line, and our test car, the GT Turbo.
And the surprising thing is, it's not a hamster on a wheel. This 1.6-liter turbo puts out 201 horsepower, and even with that much power, you're getting 33 miles per gallon on the highway and 27 miles per gallon around town.
The non-turbo Souls are powered by a 2-liter 4, cranking out 147 horses. The top-of-the-line turbo comes with all the bells and whistles, including every safety feature, even a pop-up, heads-up display.
That's a lot of stuff at this price point.
Yeah, it really is. This is a really compelling value package, even at the highest price point of this, which is about $28,000. You get a lot of car for the money, and you get a car that's a lot of fun to drive.
Not to mention practical.
You've got this higher door opening, so it's easy to get in and out of. Plenty of headroom inside here.
And with that squared off back end, there's a ton of room.
The seats fold down, so basically it's a small station wagon, for lack of a better term. Well, Kia would like us to call it a crossover, but this is a hatchback.
No matter what you call it, this vehicle has been an important part of the brand turnaround for Kia.
And this has been a phenomenal car for Kia.
Yeah, it really was. When it came out in 2009, it kind of reset the image meter for Kia, and it took them from being just an inexpensive car company to an inexpensive car company with personality. There's personality in this car, which is one of the things I really like about it. Well, there isn't anything that feels like a Kia Soul.
It has soul?
It has soul. And in this Inferno Red, it might be ode to the devil. Who knows?
As always, you can check out more of Harvey's reviews on his website, ridesanddrives.com. Well, from cars to clothes, making style simple, finding clothes that can fit can be challenging and frustrating for many women. Next, we'll introduce you to the fashion industry pioneers fighting to change that with her very own company. News 3 Now this morning, Sunday. We'll be right back.
Still keeping a close eye on this line of thunderstorms diving towards the south and east. I do still think that'll reach the Madison area probably right around 11 to 11:15 or so. The other thing we're going to be watching today is the heat. Those heat indices can really take off in a hurry once the sun continues to rise this morning. But pay attention to what happens as the line of showers and storms approaches. That will work in to cool us off at least somewhat. But before that happens, look for actual air temperatures to make it well into the 80s today. Keely.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Chris. With an estimated 68% of women over size 8 in America, it's no surprise that finding fashion that fits is a challenge. Balladana is on a mission to change this. It's created by female founder Dana Todd. We have with us Nisha Kadi as well to talk more about this custom-made clothing company.
Well, thank you for having us here. We're very excited. We are brand new. We just launched at the beginning of this year.
Very exciting.
And we're thrilled to be here in Madison, Wisconsin, because we know that people here, especially in the Midwest, really like to dress well. We dress up for things, you know, but it's hard to find clothing that fits your body, even if you're very, very, you know, model perfect like Nisha is, right? Because even Nisha says she has trouble finding clothes to fit.
You were saying women, you know we're either a size 10 or 2 or whatever it is, but it doesn't have to be that way anymore. And how are you kind of breaking away from that?
Well, so we really, first of all, we want to teach women to get their own measurements. So for almost 50 years now, women have been basically taught only to represent our bodies by one proxy letter or number. And that's not enough to describe this complexity, right?
Yeah.
So we have a system where you just measure your body and you are size you. So it's very, very simple, right? We want a lot of numbers out of you. And what that's going to do then is make sure that when we make your clothes from scratch, exactly to your body measurement, that it's going to fit you perfectly right out of the box.
Yeah, so you can, people can kind of get their measurements, you said, at a tailor or at a dry cleaner, and then submit them to you. Is that correct?
So a lot of women are afraid of getting their measurements. Some of them don't want to know what the numbers are.
Right.
Others are just afraid they're going to mess it up. But you can have a friend do it, you can have a loved one do it, or honestly, the best, go to your local tailor or dry cleaner. They'll have it done in 10 minutes flat. Most of them charge nothing or a nominal fee. Program them into balladana.com, B-A-L-O-D-A-N-A.com,
awesome.
and then we'll store that for you securely. You can update it if you can a little bit or what have you. Then that goes to your designers. So on our site, we are a marketplace, kind of like Amazon, but highly specialized for people who, they're designers and tailors worldwide, all over the world. We have Europe, we have Canada, we have Israel. They make things for women. They're really experienced in it. So we play the go-between, providing the marketing services and the customer service. They make it for you, and you are happy.
So you're that kind of intermediary between the designer and then the person. And is this something that...
This is.
It's beautiful. It's very ornate and stunning. I love it. Yeah.
So this is from Aista of Lithuania. So she works entirely in sustainable linen from Lithuania. And I want to do a twirl, please.
Gorgeous.
It's just stunning, the fabric. So linen, everybody loves linen in the summer, right? But one of the things, the challenges with linen is it sometimes get a little droopy in the heat.
Yes.
So she structures the mitering here. All these stitches are pre-programmed into the fabric, and then she cuts the fabric from there. And for those of you who have to, you know, be a little more businessy, this is a suit from Zaza from Bucharest, Romania, and she does a much more classic tailoring. It's a European cut, but you can have it if you wanted more boxy, less fitted. That's fine. If you want the skirt shorter, you can adjust these things. You can't do that in a regular store.
No, and it doesn't matter as long as the fit is good. You're going to look really good.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for waking up early with us and looking gorgeous in the process. We so appreciate it. And there's more to come on News 3 this morning. Still ahead, you're taking a live look outside. Chris is back with your full forecast next on News 3 Now this morning. But first, let's look at Who's 3. Check out Aubrey. Aw, happy birthday, Aubrey. What a cutie pie. And I think we have one more kiddo turning.
You wanted summer, we've got it. We had the heat yesterday with temperatures in the 90s, more heat today, but we're also dealing with the summer showers and thunderstorms diving our direction. A slight risk of severe weather, that's level 2 out of the 5 severe weather tiers. That includes all of the viewing area back up through northwestern Wisconsin towards the Twin Cities. Notice the arcing nature of this severe weather risk. What this is hinting at is a cluster of showers and thunderstorms that develops towards the north and west and then dives towards the south and east. That is exactly what is going to happen today. We've already begun to see this line of showers and thunderstorms develop. A lot of lightning on the eastern side of that, and over the past 6 hours, we've been able to watch Doppler track show that complex of showers and thunderstorms come out of Canada through northern Minnesota and now into northern Wisconsin, and we're watching this as it does so. The heavy rain has somewhat begun to weaken on the western side of that, but we're holding strong with a lot of lightning and a lot of heavy rain on the eastern side of this line of showers and thunderstorms as it dives our direction. Here's the deal. We put this into motion. We time it out. This will likely make it towards Madison by about 11 o'clock or so. Decorah, you're talking 10:55, so still around that time. But in the Madison area, once we get towards 11 o'clock, that's when that line of showers and thunderstorms will likely reach us. And once it gets here, we're looking at the primary threat being the damaging wind potential. Yes, there is a low tornado threat. We also do have a little bit of a hail threat, but that damaging wind potential, you're talking winds up to 60 miles per hour or greater. That's what we're really going to be focused on. The other thing for today is, of course, we're going to be hot, hazy, and humid. That warm air mass that's bringing us these summer-like temperatures will likely stay in control through the rest of the upcoming work week. So get used to that heat while you're going to be outside. Heat advisories in play for Grant County, all throughout Iowa, parts of Nebraska, Kansas, and South Dakota as well. There are excessive heat warnings if you plan on heading up towards the Twin Cities. But watch this into the afternoon. Heat indices will make it into the triple digits. And then as that line of showers and thunderstorms begins to come through, watch how that gradually cools things off for a lot of folks. And so as we time that out, 81 by 10 o'clock, here comes that line of showers and thunderstorms this afternoon. It'll again push towards the south and east, but temperatures are still going to be staying very mild into the 80s. And we're keeping those mild temperatures around throughout the rest of the week, folks, even on the 4th of July. Each and every day when it's hot and humid, we'll have that chance for showers and thunderstorms as well.
All right, stay hydrated and dry.
Absolutely,
right.
yeah.
Thank you, Chris. If you're a golf fan in Wisconsin, you should be keeping an eye on the U.S. Senior Open because the top 2 guys are from the Badger State. Edgerton native Steve Stricker, fresh off of hosting the American Family Insurance Championship, is playing some of his best golf right now. Stricker shot 4 birdies Saturday and is still at the top of the leaderboard with a 4 under par at 66. Meanwhile, Jerry Kelly, fresh off of winning the American Family Insurance Championship last weekend here in Madison, shot an even par 70 Saturday. So check out that leaderboard heading into the final round. Stricker has a 6-stroke lead. He's writing some history too. His 54-hole score of 18 under par is the lowest in the history of the U.S. Senior Open. A win today would be Stricker's 2nd major championship win of the season. The last one was at the Regions Tradition in Alabama in May. Stricker and Kelly will again be paired together this afternoon. They tee off at 3:25. And the Brewers are coming off a good night of baseball. The team beat the Pirates 3-1. Thames hit his 11th run on the season to help the Brew Crew win. The teams will face off one more time this afternoon. First pitch is at 1:10. Zach Davies is pitching for the Brewers. There's more news ahead all day long here on News 3 Now. And then tomorrow morning, we're heading out on the lakes for a lesson in boater safety. Tips for staying safe in the summer, especially heading into the holiday weekend. But first, taking a moment to honor our American heroes ahead of the 4th. We'll introduce you to the man who put his life on the line to save countless others in one of the bloodiest battles in recent history. The big honor he received this week just ahead. Welcome back. This week, President Trump awarded the country's highest civilian honor, the Medal of Honor, to Army Staff Sergeant David Bellavia.
He puts his life on the line to save his squad in the bloodiest battle of the Iraq War in Fallujah in 2014. David Martin has more on this American hero.
Staff Sergeant David Bellavia and his 10-man squad were going house to house, searching for terrorists.
Okay, so that's the plan. We're going to leave shortly.
It was his 29th birthday 15 years ago.
We walked into a house, and on the second door inside the home, bullets started flying.
A deafening maelstrom of tracer rounds flying in every direction. Captured on camera by journalist Michael Ware. Bellavia fired a machine gun to cover his squad's retreat, but felt he had failed his men.
I ran out because I was out of plans and I was scared to death.
And failed the infantryman's code of battle.
We fight until you don't fight anymore and we take you out, but we don't break contact.
But you just did.
And that really was insulting to me.
In his documentary, Michael Ware described what happened next.
Someone had to go back in there. Someone had to kill them.
Yeah, I want to go in there and go after him.
It was Staff Sergeant Bellavia.
Followed by Ware and one other soldier, Bellavia went back into the pitch-black house. He killed 3 of the enemy and wounded a 4th.
He just rolled and he tore up the stairs.
So now you got to go up the stairs after him?
This guy's hurt. And I like my chances with a guy that's hit repeatedly and he's bleeding. I could see the blood. He's mine.
The official Army account says Bellavia silenced the wounded fighter. So how'd you silence him?
I hit him with my helmet. I hit him with everything I could.
You're taking your helmet off and just...
All I could think of is that if I could just hit this guy enough times with my helmet.
The rest of what happened was as savage as combat gets, and Bellavia put it all in this book. If this was a movie, it would be X-rated because the violence is so graphic.
If it's truly war, that's what it should be rated.
Today, Bellavia became the first living soldier to receive the Medal of Honor for his actions in Iraq.
My award has always been that I'm alive and I'm home. And that's the greatest thing in the world to have.
And here's something even greater. Every man in his squad came home alive with him. David Martin, CBS News, Lindenville, New York.
What an incredible story, an act of
Absolutely.
bravery.
Yeah, and we were just talking, it's so wild to think about that being our childhood.
Right.
And just growing up and seeing that. So it's a good thing that he was finally able to get that recognition.
What an honor.
Kaylee. So of course we're watching the weather for you guys as well. We do have a line of showers and thunderstorms on the way. I suspect that'll be right around here towards 11 o'clock. Outside of that, the showers and thunderstorms will continue along with the heat. Look for temperatures to stay in the upper 80s.
All right, stay hydrated, stay dry, stay cool, all the things. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on News 3 Now tomorrow morning.